morning, and I'd like to open the meeting at 9 o'clock on the 13th of November. Good morning to everybody. Could I please have somebody move the confirmation of the ordinary meeting on the 30th of October 2024? Councillor Brumpton.
I move that the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on 30th of October 2024 be confirmed.
Have a seconder? Councillor Davis. All those in favour? Sorry, I forgot about that.
Yes.
That's 9-0, and I just let everybody know that Councillor Hancock is in the air. On the air. Right. Can I confirm the minutes of the special meeting on the 30th of October 2024? Councillor Brumpton.
I move that the minutes of the special meeting held on 30th of October 2024 be confirmed.
Can I have a seconder? Councillor Vincent. All those in favour?
Yes.
9-0. Moving on to 10.1. Setting of meeting dates 2025. Councillor O'Neill.
I'm happy to move, but I know it was referenced on the sidelines yesterday about the last meeting of this year was captured in here, but it's not.
It's not, no.
It's not.
No.
So
No, sorry.
Sorry,
Councillor O'Neill, it was 2025.
Okay.
Not
So
2024.
this one picks up from, the one for December will require a amended resolution at the next meeting.
next
if we're
meeting.
going to move it. So.
yeah, okay, all right. Well, I'll move the council unless people want to discuss
A
this.
question
Yeah.
quickly. January is mentioned throughout the report, but the table doesn't have January through to May. Is
I noticed
that
that.
all
Yeah.
the
Is
same?
that because what was the last one?
We've already done the...
Have you already done that?
thought
Check.
we'd
I'll
only
check,
done
Councillor. I'm
till
pretty sure we've already
December.
done up to...
I'll move we lay this on the table till later in the meeting if we can just pull that resolution from earlier in the year.
It's in the report. It's in the report. I read it.
Yeah,
But
it's
anyway,
just the table on page 30 just has from May 2025 onwards, not the rest. But anyway, I'll move we lay this on the table till later in the meeting just to pull that report and the minutes.
Everybody happy with that?
yes.
Seconder?
No, you just need
No.
to put it.
Yeah.
Not everyone voted.
Yeah. Can we vote on laying on the table till later in the meeting?
Yep.
Yes.
9-0.
Councillors, I'll just pull up that resolution from last year that covered into the new year there, and we'll circulate that so you can have a look.
It's a resolution from
Yeah,
this year.
yeah, for the covering the January, February period, but I'll dig it out and I'll circulate it.
It's actually in the report if we read through it, I'm sure.
Okay, we're going to 10.2. Mayoral Robe's update on expressions of interest. Do I have a mover? Councillor Davis.
Thank you. I'd like to move that Council approve the procurement of the Mayoral Robe through a specialist supplier.
I have a seconder. Councillor Vincent. Would you like to speak, Councillor?
Just that Council has gone out for expressions of interest. There's been no interest or response to that. We do, given the time of year and coming into January with Australia Day, there is a company that makes these robes, and that's who we originally went to get the price. We did try and source locally. However, this is just moving the mayoral robes forward.
Thank you. Anyone against? I'd like to...
Just a question.
Yep.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to CEO, do we need to have, we're saying to go out and procurement, will it then come back, or do we need to have a GL number or a budget item number or something in this resolution so that it can happen? I know we've had the quotes, but what do we need to, does this resolution make it that we can go out and do it?
Sorry, I missed the question, sorry. Sorry, Councillor
It was such
Hancock.
a long question.
It was, sorry, Councillor Hancock.
She was just asking whether we need a GL number so that we can source it and do it without having to come back.
When you did the original resolution on it, though, did you actually have you nominate a GL?
No,
You didn't?
no. We just went out for expressions of interest.
Right.
And the quote, we had a quote, but we really...
Yeah, no, the answer to the code, yes, you need a GL, so...
Yeah.
source
Yeah.
that one.
We might lay this one on the table and get a GL number 2. Is that okay?
Yeah, I move that we lay this on the table to further in the meeting.
All those in favour?
Yes.
9-0.
And maybe an approximate price, again, we could go up to, so that we can, move forward with it.
Yeah, no worries, thank you. 11.1, 23-24 annual report. Do I have a mover?
I'm hesitant to do this because we're doing it on all of them, but can I just move that this item be dealt with last?
Yes.
Move it on the agenda, yeah.
Yeah. That not till later in the meeting. I'll formally move that we deal with this agenda item as the final agenda item for today.
Okay, do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Vincent, all those in favour?
Yes.
9-0. Right, we're going where we're right. Page 43. 11.2, Audit Committee meeting minutes, 14th of October 2024. Councillor Brompton.
I move that council receive and note the unconfirmed minutes of the Audit Committee meeting held on the 14th of October 2024. 2, endorse the Audit Committee's recommendations for items contained in the list below. A, position paper Community Housing Transition Update for 30th of June 2024. B, position paper Flood Restoration Program 2023-24. C, position paper Refuse Landfill Rehabilitation Provision 2023-24. D, position paper Asset Capitalisation Process 2023-24. E, financial statements for the year ended 30th of June 2024. F, external auditors closing report 2024 and briefing paper. G, audit committee terms of reference. H, audit committee annual work plan 2024 and schedule of meeting dates. I, strategic internal audit plan.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Seawright, would you like to speak, councillor?
We had the first meeting of the new Audit and Risk Committee that have been appointed by this council on the 14th of October. It was pleasing to have the expertise of a number of now external committee members who bring a lot of background and history to the committee. And I note that having the extra members is also now, Treasury is looking at all councils having a larger audit committee, so it's nice that we sort of led the pack with that. And I think it can only help us, and just seeing what we got through and the discussion and the detail that we had at that meeting was very pleasing, and to see that we can move forward with a more enhanced and in-depth knowledge of what's going on as council.
Very good. Anyone like to speak against?
That's a question.
Yeah.
Just in relation to the point 2, endorse audit committee's recommendations. So if I look at, I'll just pick 2B, the position paper flood restoration program, and that relates to 4.2 in the minutes, where the audit committee moved to receive and note the officer's report as presented. We're now just endorsing, you're recommending to council to what? That's not clear to me.
No, I remember having this discussion at the meeting on the day about whether we have to use the words that council endorse
Yeah, we did.
when we were actually having the meeting.
Ruben, did you want to?
Yeah, it did raise that around. I guess it's either it's in. I don't know if it needed to endorse or just receive, I suppose, in regards to what council's doing here.
Yeah, because the discussion was previously they'd just been received, and
Yeah.
the discussion around the table was that they felt that council wanted actually to endorse the recommendations out of there. But
Because we're an advisory group to council, but what we're endorsing is that audit committee receive and note. Remember I had that discussion,
Yeah,
should
we
it be
did.
that council?
Yeah.
No, I think the motion of endorsing the audit committee's recommendations makes sense.
Yes,
A to I doesn't.
because of what the recommendation is, which
In
is,
the minute.
I
Yeah.
did have that discussion about that. Should it say the audit committee is within those minutes of the audit committee, should it be the audit committee recommends that council,
Yep.
And it should be
Yeah.
spelt out
Yes.
in that broader, expanded resolution, yeah.
We lay it on the table just to.
yeah, if it's another one.
probably,
Well, we said we were going to get this right.
Yeah,
Yes.
we
And
did,
so
yeah.
I move we lay this on the table till later in the meeting, and that'll give people
And-
time to,
Fix it.
So that was just from A to
I.
A to I.
Yeah.
Okay. Was it just A to D that you
Can I
had?
just ask you a question?
A to D, yeah.
Go ahead, councillor.
Well, aren't we just endorsing, say we're picking that one, and for me, I'm just picked the top one, but 4.1, position community housing. Aren't we just saying that, yes, we're endorsing, and yes, the resolution and the recommendation is that the audit committee receive and note the officer's report. We're just endorsing that is what they did.
That's
and
right,
we
but
agree
it's-
with that,
that's
them
not
receiving it.
That's not what that resolution says.
Says, no.
Endorse the audit committee's recommendations for items contained in the list below. Well, within the
But the list
contained
below
list
just
is-
says position paper flood restoration program 23-24. Doesn't actually say what council,
So if you didn't list any of that stuff, would you?
then we need somewhere where all those recommendations are.
Yeah.
or is it? Yeah, righto. We just need a bit more wording in there.
Have you put that it lays on the table?
No.
No,
Oh,
no. Oh, no, because councillor Hancock had a question.
Yeah.
So are we happy to lay it on the table? All those in favour?
Yes.
9-0. Table's getting a bit heavy. 11.3, Queensland Audit Office Final Management Letter 2023-24. Do I have a mover?
Sorry, Madam Mayor, to interrupt. I just noticed the minute taker said that I second that. Laying on the table, did I? But I did not. Can we just go back up to that? I can't see it. I'm sorry.
No,
there's no
up one.
no,
No second.
there's no seconder.
I saw my name up there, Hancock something. Anyway, that's okay then. The one above this one, 11.2. Sorry, Nikita. Okay, sorry.
You're right. 11.3, Queensland Audit Office Final Management Letter 2023-24. Do I have a mover? Councillor Brumpton.
Try this and hope it's right. I move that pursuant to section 2133 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council receive and note the Queensland Audit Office Final Management Report for 2023-24 as presented by the Mayor.
Have a seconder. Councillor Vincent, would you like to speak, councillor?
No.
Anybody like to speak?
I've got a question.
Yep.
So this, the timing of this is it hasn't gone to the audit committee. This has come to council after the audit committee, is that right?
Statements have gone to the audit committee,
So just,
and then we send it back.
I just see in the report, like, there's some recommendations that the audit office have put forward. One, for example, is that council develops a robust ex gratia and special payments policy. What are the steps to pull out the recommendations from the audit office for council to consider that we actually initiate or implement those recommendations and the development of said policy?
Would that not come through the Audit and Risk Committee? Audit and Risk Committee saw the draft of this,
Yeah.
so they were aware of that. Is that right? I would have thought that then the recommendations are pursued through the Audit and Risk Committee, is that correct?
Get up there.
Makes sense
Yes,
to
it
come
is.
through you guys.
Yeah, so we have already started that process. They are a work in progress. All of the status for all of those are a work in progress and are being rolled out by the Manager of Finance Operations, along with all of the other senior managers and directors at the council. We're working towards finalising that one in particular by 30th of June 2025. It's currently being worked on between Manager of Finance Operations and Manager of People and Culture at the
That
moment.
policy that I referenced?
Yeah, it's already
Right.
in-
So that'll go back to the Audit and Risk Committee for their take on it and recommendation for council to further consider the adoption. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
I just don't want those things to be lost.
No,
No,
they won't
definitely
be
not.
lost.
we're aiming not to lose anything. Right. Did anyone want to speak? Are you right, councillor?
No, I think I spoke enough
Yep.
on the prior one. This is
All
related
right.
as well.
Let's take it to the vote. All those in favour?
Hey, we're off the mark.
Yes.
9-0. 12.1, application for 2025-26 State Emergency Services Support Grant and allocation of a one-off exceptional funding. Do I have a mover? Councillor Burkett.
I'd like to move that Council 1 submit a funding application under the 2025-26 SES support grant for the construction of a covered marshalling area and additional storage at the Surat SES facility. 2, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to sign any documentation associated with the SES support grant if the application is successful. Associated, does that sound right? Yeah, with that. Thank you, Nikita. 3, approve the allocation of the one-off exceptional payment to the following SES projects across the region. A, Roma, design upgrade of amenities, kitchen, lunch and parking area at the Roma SES base. B, Mitchell, installation of vermin barrier at the SES shed. C, Surat, painting and installation of shade awning at the front of the accommodation unit. And D, Wallumbilla, additional container storage. The covered area, is that full of one there? The covered, no. That's it. Thank you.
That it?
Yep.
Have a seconder? Councillor.
Yes, but I've got a question.
Yep.
Just with the 40 by 40 foot dome for over the containers with the end wall, is like technically they're only really a temporary solution. Like that cover, you know, depicted by storms and stuff can only typically last maybe 5 years at best. Is there a, you know, like, do we have a forecast for that, or does SES have a forecast for that? I just hate to, you know, spend a bunch of money and then have to chase down another cover for it as well in a couple of years' time because it got wrecked by a storm.
Through the chair, we definitely can talk to the SES. That was the original suggestion we proposed, but yeah, we can have a chat to them. It is a funding grant, so we just shore up that scope before submitting. Yep. I think, but yeah, fair point, and we'll discuss that.
No, it's cool. And those containers are going to be, you know, stumped and fixed down correctly.
Yeah, yep. So we're aware of the.
No, it's cool. I was just double checking. I thought that, but I just. In the industry I've been in, I've just seen a lot of these, you know, kind of last only a couple of years and absolutely get torn apart. So
yeah, no, thank you. That's good feedback too. Yeah, as I said, we'll touch base with the local SES and just there might be more of a rather than a igloo solution, it could be just a portal frame that goes on top there.
That was my follow-up question. Yeah, just the price difference to just sheeting across. With corrugated iron sort of thing might be, if they don't need the height.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, the intent was more just a parking and a marshalling area sort of thing. So I think height won't be a major issue. So it is 100% funded external grant. So it could be 80,000 with an igloo or 100,000 with a permanent structure. So, yeah, we'll do that. Do that price estimation, make sure it's reflected in there. So
awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Are you happy to second that?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Seconded by Councillor Sarah. Do you want to talk, Councillor?
I think this is great that this has come to the table. Thank you, Gemma. I just know, like especially the Mitchell one, I know when they had the search rescue, they had dramas there, they couldn't use it because the dramas with the birds, so that'll alleviate that problem. I'm assuming every area is what their wish list, so I think I'm happy to support this.
Anyone else like to speak? Councillor Sarah.
I like to support this in the fact that, you know, our whole SES, aside from the officials, they're all volunteers, and you know the best we can actually make things more accessible, easier for the guys when they're on, or guys and girls when they're actually on, you know, doing this sort of stuff, and somewhere to come back and actually have a break or even store their equipment safely away from, you know, the youth of now or the crime that we, you know, do see around. I think it's a great initiative to try update our facilities and make things better for the SES team.
Very good.
I'd like to speak.
Go ahead, Councillor Hancock.
Just to thank Officer Gemma for bringing this forward as well. And just to let councillors know that this is actually an outcome that was raised in our LECC meeting, our last one, for Surat, that they would like to get this structure outside for the storage, and that barbecue area is really important to them because there is no veranda on the accommodation. So basically, when people are there, there is nowhere for them to actually get outside their room. So I'd just like to thank Gemma for bringing this forward. It'd be great if we get the funding.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Councillor Brompton?
I too would like to say it's great to see this happening, and in Roma in particular, I see at this stage it's design and upgrade of the amenities. There's not enough money there to do the upgrade, and I had heard from the community and some of the SEF volunteers now that there's female volunteers, the ablutions are not, they're only set up for males. So I hope that we can get a next stage somehow, get some funding to actually do the upgrade then for Roma. They've got some younger volunteers, and to try and keep them there and have females come along and feel comfortable is important as well.
Yeah, we actually did go through it up there and see all that too, and that, yeah. And it is, they do have some young ones coming on, so yeah, the easier it is for them to do the job, the better off we are. Anyone else like to speak? We'll go to the vote. All those in...
Well, can I just-
Oh, sorry. Yes, you
Sorry,
may.
I just want to follow on from the comments from the other councils. I think the most important thing is nowadays volunteers are few and far between, or they're ageing. So any little thing that we can get to make it more enjoyable, because they are doing a service, and sometimes it could be days on end. So I think this is great that we can tick that box to hopefully keep them or encourage more to come.
All right, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
9-0. Thanks, Gemma.
Thanks, Jim.
13.1, sponsorship request, Hodson Soldiers Memorial Hall Christmas Dinner. Councillor Vincent.
Just got to declare a conflict of interest.
Okay.
On item 13.1, sponsorship request, Hodson Soldiers Memorial Hall Christmas Dinner. Declaring councillor as myself. It's related party Melissa Humphreys. Melissa is my sister-in-law and has written the letter of request on behalf of the Hodson Soldiers Memorial Hall. It is declarable conflict of interest, and I'll leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on.
Thank you. Councillor Vincent has left the room. Councillor O'Neill.
I'm happy to move something. I'll move that council approves the sponsorship request of $500 towards the Hodson Soldiers Memorial Hall Christmas dinner.
Do I have a seconder?
You need to say which GL. It's on page 75.
And also, Councillor Neil, sorry, just wondering, the request actually wasn't for that amount. Just wondering if we should say approve the sponsorship of $500.
Yeah, not the request.
Request,
Yeah.
I am. The council approved the sponsorship of $500 to the Hodson Soldiers Memorial Hall Christmas dinner, and funds be drawn from sponsorship budget GL2 887 2249 2001.
Have a seconder? Councillor Brompton. Would you like to speak, Councillor?
Thanks, Mayor. I'm happy to move that we support this event as we have in previous years. I just have put forward the $500 value because it is consistent with what has been provided in previous years, other than in 2021 where a community grant was sought. This is sponsorship, and we can see from the list provided to us on page 76, there is likely to be other requests from across our community for Christmas parties where a value of $500 is earmarked, and I think we need to be consistent in our approach right across the region. As I say, happy to support it. From all reports, has been a really good event held each year, and this sponsorship will go some way to providing an affordable meal for those that participate in the Hodson Christmas dinner.
Anyone against? Councillor Davis.
I would love to give every community group that came here money. Unfortunately, I don't think it's sponsorship. A sponsorship is offering a solution by providing a platform for businesses to get their name and brand across. There can't be consistencies because most of the community groups who have requested this money for their Christmas parties have actually gone through the community grants process, which Hodson Hall was aware of, made aware of by our council officers. They've had opportunity to come and ask for that money and they haven't. I do think there is other ways of raising funds out in the community, and council's in a position at the moment where we're going through line by line and finding $1,000 or $500 to kind of try and balance our books. So I would have really liked to have seen Hodson Hall come through the actual process that we've requested everyone else come through. I actually don't think there's much consistency with how we are spending our funding and sponsorship. I note that there is 3 times we've sponsored the Roma Bowls Club, or we're going to. So we've sponsored it for $2,000 already. I'd like to know what that's for. We also have that we're going to sponsor it again for another $1,000. So I think sponsorship really needs to be considered as we're going through our review. What value is council and the ratepayers getting from sponsoring these events? The economic benefit of it also, as well as the community. And it's certainly a very hard balance, but we have the way the policy is at the moment, some directors go out and approve this. For $500 as the policy stands, I don't believe it had to come to council. So there is no consistency at the moment. But yeah, so I'm sorry, I do have to speak against it.
No, that's all good. Anyone else? Anyone like to speak for? I'd like to sum up.
Yeah, I don't disagree with some of the remarks that Councillor Davis has contributed. That's why I reduced it to $500, which has been what has been provided in years gone by. The challenge for us, of course, is that for some time we received the drought support funding, which the community accessed, and we don't have that anymore. But the requests still come forward for events like this. I think the contribution of $500 is manageable within the budget that we've currently got for sponsorship, and I'm happy to support it.
Okay, with that we'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
Against? 8-1. 8-1. Full stop.
No, 7-1.
Yeah,
Oh, Jane's out. Sorry, 7-1. I knew I'd get it wrong, and I thought of it twice. Councillor Davis, no, Councillor Vincent's back in the room. 13.2, Injune Visitor Information Centre Christmas and New Year operating hours. Councillor Vincent.
Just like to declare a conflict of interest
Oh,
on
really?
item 13.2. Injune Visitor Information Centre Christmas and New Year operating hours. Declaring councillor as myself, Councillor Jane Vincent. I'm a volunteer at the Injune Visitor Information Centre. It's a declarable conflict of interest. Although I have a declarable conflict of interest, I do not believe a reasonable person could have perception of bias. Therefore, I'll choose to remain in the meeting. However, I will respect the decision of the meeting on whether I can remain and participate in the decision.
Councillor O'Neill.
I'll move that it is in the public interest that Councillor Vincent participates and votes on agenda item 13.2 because a reasonable person would trust that the decision is made in the public interest.
A seconder is Councillor Brompton. We go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
8-0.
I've got a question. Through the chair, when we dealt with the operating hours for the rest of the organisation 2 meetings ago, whenever it was, this wasn't included in that?
It was,
It
but
was.
there was some, Councillor Vincent identified that there actually is volunteers, doesn't need to be closed because there's volunteers that will actually open it as well. So I was asked to separate that one out and bring it back.
I'll bring it back. Not a,
Yeah, after consulting with the group. So there was an alternate resolution sent around yesterday just to tidy up and combine it there. Councillor Vincent has since got the roster, so they will cover that period there, but we've just got it worded that allow the facility to be open during this period pending on the volunteer availability and confirmation. We have seen the roster. There is a roster and looks like it is going to be covered, but just in case anyone pulls out, that's flexible enough to cover it there.
Did you want to move, Councillor Vincent?
Yep, I'll just read it. Yep. I'd just like to move that council approve the closure of the Injune Visitor Information Centre for staff from Wednesday the 25th of December to Friday the 20th. Oh no, I'm going to go all the way to the 1st. For staff from Wednesday the 25th of December to Wednesday the 1st of January. However, allow the facility to be open during this period pending volunteer availability and confirmation of the December volunteer roster.
You happy with that?
Doesn't it say that they're the staff to approve, or closure for the staff?
Yeah, so it's for the staff. It's closed. Hang on, the council approved the.
And the volunteers at the moment, looks like the schedule is going to cover it for the 28th, 29th, 30th and 31st.
So should we just have the closure? Oh,
Councillor
Yeah.
Vince, I wonder, this is semantics, but pending, it might read better if it was subject to.
yeah, subject to
Volunteer
volunteer availability.
Yeah.
And then just take out that.
The original resolution from a couple of weeks ago, councillors, was the first half of that, which was it was closed, staff closing it on those dates, but it was just highlighted that there is volunteers who are prepared to come in and open it, so.
Which is good.
And Nikita, if I could just take out from and confirmation of the December volunteer.
Just subject to volunteer availability, full
Yeah.
stop, yeah.
You right?
Yep, do you want me to read it again?
Have a seconder? Councillor Brumpton? Would you like to speak, Councillor Vincent?
Yeah, I will speak. Thank you so much for bringing this back to the table for me. The volunteers up at Injune do play a really big part in keeping the centre open. They often cover leave for staff and holidays and things like lunch hours, so I thought it was important that they do get a say in whether the centre is open, knowing that to have the yellow eye that these dates are days that they are allocated to be open, even though they've got an exemption, a special exemption for us. So this allows them to fill the roster if they so do wish it, which they have come forward with
Yeah,
dates to fill.
that's really good. Anyone against? Anyone else like to speak? You're right, sum up. Okay, let's go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
9-0. Thanks, Lee. 13.3, Waroo Capital Works Program request for additional gravel.
I'd like to move.
When you're ready.
I move that Council 1 receive and note the report. 2, authorise the council officers to create a new capital works project, Noona Road Resheet Project. 3, transfer $20,000 ex-GST funding from Waroo Sporting Complex Additional Water and Storage Tank Capital Works Project, Work Order 250059, and create a new work order and project.
Have a seconder. Councillor Seawright. Would you like to speak, Councillor?
Can
Oh,
I ask
hang
a
on.
question first?
Oh, hang on, Councillor, we've got questions. Councillor Vincent?
Oh, Peter was.
Oh, Councillor Finn.
In the report, the body of the report, there is nowhere, no mention of what is going to happen with the $20,000 taken away from the Waroo Sporting Complex water and sewage works. I know that in previous discussions with users of that area and residents of Surat, that there is a significant amount of discussion with regard to the water at the Waroo Sporting Complex. I don't have a problem with the gravel sheeting of the road as per such, but I do have a problem of where the money might be coming from.
Director, do you want to answer that?
Absolutely. Through the chair, we've actually completed that project now, Councillor, and we did a local procurement and we used our local staff to implement that. So now they have the water tanks there. It's all connected up, and we're about to complete that project. And as far as we're aware, the Waroo Sporting Complex user group is satisfied that there's sufficient water there on site to meet the demands and the needs for the future.
So you had $20,000 spare.
That's correct, yeah. Because we went local procurement and local delivery with our staff, we had a saving of $20,000. We did budget through the business case on a contractor basis, But because we did local procurement and local delivery, we achieved that saving, and we're comfortable to release that money now.
Does that answer your question?
It answers my question, but that's not included anywhere in the wording of this report.
That's what I was going to ask. Under budget funding, you've got estimated saving to council 55K. Was that meaning the saving from that project? See, it's just
Yeah.
out on its own and doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's a good point, and through the chair, it's actually the realised saving on the new project. Without the QRA flood project there, we can't resheet this project for. It would be a cost of around 75,000, so 20,000 plus the 55 would be the total cost of the project. But in this case, because the flood project's there, the gear's there, the state's paying for it, we're just applying the extra gravel, and there is a scope on that first 1.4K already to do heavy formation grading through the state. We're just applying extra gravel, and so we achieve a massive saving while we're on site there for the flood project.
Councillor Vincent?
Councillor Flynn asked a question.
Right, very good. Who moved that?
Councillor
I did.
Oh,
And
do you want to speak? Sorry.
I do. I just have a question.
Yep.
When would this works be completed by, if it gets up today?
Yeah, thanks for your question, Councillor. It would be, we are on site at the moment, hence probably the urgency of this report. We've got a crew there at Glenurn Road doing flood works now, right around the corner, currently using the pit there and the loader. We thought it was pertinent to bring this to the table now, so essentially this should be delivered by the end of the year, if not in January.
Thank you. I'm happy to speak if there's no other questions, Mayor.
Yeah, ready when you are.
Thank you. Councillors, this has been long-standing request from the people who live on that road. That road was a gravel road. It's now gone back to black soil, and the customer has actually done the right processes. Right back early last term, invited Councillor O'Neill and Councillor Taylor and myself down to have a look at the road. That was like, 5 years ago now. And he's just been, I've brought it to budget, didn't get up, and he's just been waiting and waiting. And the CRs that go with this request. I just think that it is a perfect time to do it now while there is flood money being spent on that area. Our machinery's there. We can see in the report the savings that is bringing to our, savings to us because of that reason. What Director Matt's just said to us, I fully support this recommendation. I fully support this project because it's been pretty hard slog when these people on this road, who had a gravel road and has gone back to black soil, has seen roads nearby that were black soil roads and have been enhanced to gravel roads. So I just ask councillors to support this and grab the savings and enhance this road while we're there. Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak?
Yeah, I'd like to speak. I'm going to speak against the motion, not speaking against anything that Councillor Hancock has said about the road. In my portfolio area of a sport and rec, I just find it very disappointing that this money would come from a sporting area. I believe we have allocations with regard to rural roads. We have flood monies that we could find this money to be coming from other areas other than an area that's been neglected for the last 4 years.
Thank you. Councillor Burkett.
I'll speak for. I commend Local Area Director Matt to find savings, and from whether I know it might be contentious to other projects, but I think it's great that we can find savings. And while they're there doing the flood work, this ticks the box. This is what it's all about, fill in the areas that don't get done under the flood work. So I think it's a great saving and it's a great reward. Sometimes roads do get left and flood money takes a while to get there. That's probably why some of the delay is. Not saying all of the delay, but I think I commend Matt and his staff for getting this underway.
Would anyone else like to speak? Would you like to sum up, Councillor?
Yes, please. I take on board what Councillor Flynn is saying. And water and storage tanks has been a huge issue for the Brewery Sporting Complex for many, many, many years. So I absolutely take on board that. And the only reason that I'm supporting that it's been taken from that bucket of funding is because the officer has told us today that that is a saving on that project. And as far as the user group's concerned, they are happy with the state of what we've got there for the water infrastructure at the grounds. Other than that, I'd be happy to go back and ask them if there is any other bucket that we could go. But because of the information that the officer has provided to us today, I'm happy to support that the funds have been come from there, and that we fix this much needed road up that has this, these people have been waiting for many, many years.
Okay, thank you. We'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
Against? 8-1.
Thanks, Councillor.
14.1. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you. Thanks, Matt.
Establishment of Biosecurity Advisory Committee. Do I have a mover?
Nikita, I just picked you another simpler one there, mate. So, Councillor, you've got one that's actually in the resolution there. We had a bit of discussion, obviously, yesterday at a brief around the membership. I just sent you a second email there, Nikita. We got some feedback on potential membership. I mean, the original resolution is broad enough to cover what was discussed yesterday. Not this. This is not it, though.
Do I have a mover?
Well, I don't think it's sorted out.
Just have a look at their councillors there. We had some discussion, but a few councillors put their hand up. Obviously, Councillor Seawright's got the portfolio with biosecurity. A couple of other councillors put their hands up. When we did the resolution there, we noticed that Councillor Vincent's got the environment portfolio as well. But we did say up to 2 councillors. So obviously, Councillor Seawright's as the chair, but looking for a second councillor at the first point. The terms of reference with the core committee to actually go out and identify 5 further landowners to be represented, and that to be brought back to council for approval. And then obviously the staff are going to be there as a support and technical guidance to the committee. So we've got the original resolution in front of you, which does cover what we had talked about. Endorse the recommended process, establish a biosecurity advisory committee, nominate councillors as their representatives, and commence calling expression of interest. That was the original resolution. Just with yesterday, there was some concern around the potential blowout of numbers.
So wouldn't we, through the chair, council's already resolved to set up a committee. Why wouldn't we just be moving today then to call?
I think it was resolved, council, to bring it back to a brief.
Yeah, that's fine. Yep. But we did, in that, it was to set it up though, wasn't it? That original...
Yeah, we have already
endorsed the establishment.
Establishment, yeah.
Yeah.
So wouldn't today just simply be to initiate an expression of interest process to appoint industry representatives and landholders from across the region?
Did you want to nominate your councillors, though, as well?
What's that?
You want to nominate your councillors?
Oh, I have to, yeah, but I just, this core committee thing throws me a bit. Like, we'll have one committee, and that'll consist of 2 councillors, 5 industry and 5 landowners. There's 12, that's manageable.
Yeah.
But that's not a core, like it is the committee.
No, I think all you're doing is endorsing the core committee to actually approve the terms of reference.
Through the chair, the
bring
brief
back
was to endorse the process, to actually establish the committee, and I guess the resolution's been worded about what the process is to establish the committee.
The terms of reference is owned by council, not by the committee, so that's council signing off on that.
Yeah. We'll endorse the core committee to develop the terms of reference.
Yeah, develop, it's not approved, yeah.
So we don't like the word core.
No.
Is that what the... what we're balking at?
I think we came up with the word core committee yesterday because there was going to be others by invite there with the neighbouring shires. And
But they're invited guests, aren't they? They're not committee.
Committee.
It's just a committee with
can be
invited
members.
guests, isn't it?
If we just do establish a committee consisting of
Yeah.
what Councillor O'Neill said, list them.
Yeah.
Establish a committee consisting of Councillor Vincent and Councillor Seawright as chairperson, 5 industry community representatives and 5 landholder representatives.
then you can probably lose the second half of point 2 then.
That council invite the committee to develop the terms of reference. Three, undertake an expression of interest process to nominate to
Invite.
yeah. Industry body and landholder representatives.
And do we need the committee to bring them back?
Yeah.
Then, the terms of reference for our endorsement and the membership?
It really needs to go to 3, doesn't it?
Yeah.
2 to 3.
Yeah. Does it have to come back to us before the EOI, or can that all be done together?
I think you go to invite the committee to develop terms of reference and expression of interest, and that's for council approval.
Yeah.
And then the second part, then the second half of that, undertake expression of interest to invite industry body and landowners for up to 5 landowners.
I think we've got this the wrong way round.
I think
The terms of reference needs to have been developed and endorsed by council
So
before it
you
goes
can
out
do-
to an expression of interest.
But I think your committee, when they come together, actually, they're going to actually develop your terms of reference. So
So you need the people on it
need
first.
people on it.
Oh, I disagree, sorry. We've just done this. A terms of reference was developed for the advisory committees that we all signed up for LJQ, which we'll talk about later in the... We knew that, putting our hand up, that was the term of reference as to why we were going to
So we
commit.
have to see
So
the
I-
terms of reference.
If I was a landowner or an industry person, I'd want to know what those terms of references are before I put an expression.
Take point, yep.
So the committee can't develop the terms of reference, it's
No.
got to be developed by officers first. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, that's-
Yeah.
So just to sound it out, could it be establish an interim committee consisting of Councillor Vincent and Councillor Seawright as chairperson? And they work with council staff to develop the terms of reference to come back to council for endorsement?
I just feel that some of them outside groups that might be part of the committee might have some good input for the terms of reference.
You can
as well.
update the terms
Update
of
and do a
reference.
review, which is what we did at the Audit
Yeah.
and Risk Committee, yeah.
I thought they'd probably have their input into actually the development of it. They particularly got industry there as well as landowners. It would have been helpful to have them in the development of it, but in councillors' hands.
On purpose and structure of the project.
And then go out for expressions of interest. Oh, I'll have to come back first?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can we finish the first one though? As chairperson, to work with staff to develop the terms of reference.
Can I just ask to make it grammatically correct, you put councillor Seawright first, because the way it reads, it could be
I was
a
gonna-
joint chair, yeah.
I thought that too.
I don't think that we should be putting that Councillor Vincent Seawright work with staff to develop terms of reference, because they don't have authority to do that. They can only work with the CEO. I understand
work
we have a
with, they
working
can't direct.
relationship.
It can work with as long as they're not
Disagree.
directing.
Yeah,
But I'm happy
Well-
to be guided by the CEO.
yeah.
Yeah, I had it that way. The terms of reference being developed by the actual by the actual committee itself, but with staff and councillors all in together. But
To work with CEO or their delegate to develop the terms of reference.
Yeah, yeah.
we should have just stuck with the original.
Yeah.
It's broad enough to cover it.
We just need to cover.
Develop the terms of reference and expression of interest process. Full stop to a further report be tabled at an upcoming council meeting. And once we've endorsed the terms of reference, and then we start the broader process. I don't know.
And just from the discussion around the table yesterday during the briefing, if any other councillor is strongly wanting that second position, just say.
All councillors can attend as observers to any committee of council, so. Oh, Mayor, I'm happy to move points 1 and 2, remove 3, 4, 5 and 6 and test that.
Should you say terms of reference and membership, or you just assume that the membership is involved in, should you specify terms of reference and membership in the EOI process?
To develop the terms of reference in brackets, including in membership,
Yeah.
including the committee membership.
And Councillor O'Neill, just point 2 there, just a further report be tabled at upcoming meeting. Just you probably might need some more words in there. A report on.
And for endorsement of the terms of reference and membership.
Yep, thanks.
Sorry, you happy with that? Councillor?
Yeah.
Yeah, just a bit of clarity around the
Yeah.
report. Yep.
Ready when you are?
I'll move that Council 1 establish an interim committee consisting of Councillor Seawright, Rural Lands as chairperson, and Councillor Vincent, Environment. Rural Lands Portfolio Chair and Environment Portfolio Chair, and to work with the CEO or delegate to develop the terms of reference, including the committee membership and EOI process. 2, a further report be tabled in an upcoming council meeting for endorsement of the terms of reference and expression of interest process.
I have a seconder. Councillor Seawright, would you like to speak, councillor?
I think this is a good step in the right direction in getting this sorted out, hopefully by the end of year. There's still a little bit of work to be done in terms of the terms of reference for council to consider. I think we're pretty clear on who the membership will be. I think that was nutted out in discussions yesterday, and of course today it's also been flagged. But I think we will get a good outcome, and particularly getting landowner representatives from across the region to invest in their time into this committee. Biosecurity is pretty important, and I welcome the expansion of this committee from what was previously the Wild Dog Committee in terms gone by, and look forward to seeing the report back from Councillor Seawright and Councillor Vincent.
Anyone against? Anyone else like to speak? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
9-0.
Thanks, lady.
Thank you.
14.2, endorsement of Chair Regional Arts Development Fund RADF Committee. Do I have a mover? Councillor Davis.
I move that council approve the Regional Arts Development Fund Committee motion to elect Councillor Brumpton as the chair of the Regional Arts Development Fund Committee.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Vincent, would you like to speak, councillor?
Can I? I'm going to be the annoying one today. Can I suggest that reads that council approve the Regional Arts Development Fund Committee recommendation to appoint Councillor Brumpton as the chair of the Regional Arts Development Committee?
Yes.
Are you happy with that, councillor Davis?
What would happen if the motion wasn't successful? What would be the outcome?
Well, it's just consistent in how we've been talking about these committees recommend. It's like the audit committee discussion before. They recommend things to council to consider. So if this has gone through the RADF committee as a motion, they're recommending to council to appoint said person as chair.
Okay, yep, I'm happy with that.
Councillor Vincent, you happy with that? Would you like to speak, councillor Davis?
No, thank you.
Would anyone like to speak?
I'll
Councillor
speak. I'm happy to support this, and I think Councillor Brumpton, you're going to do a wonderful job in this role. The RADF committee over the last term has really changed in its approach to support our community in this space. For a long time, there were rounds being run by council that were having next to no applications. The change in process now of opening it up all the time to receive applications and for the committee to consider those, I think it's been a welcome one. And so I think, Councillor Brumpton, you're inheriting quite a good model to support the arts across our community. I just want to say thank you to Councillor Hancock for her stewardship over the last term of council and the Mayor in what they've done in driving this, and I think this will be a really good outcome, and you handing over the baton, Councillor Hancock, to Councillor Brumpton.
Anyone else like to speak?
Yes, please.
No, I knew she'd like to speak, yep. Go ahead, councillor Hancock.
Thank you. I'd just like to say two things. A, I really enjoyed my time as chair of the RADF fund, and really enjoyed working with the committee and seeing some amazing projects. And two, I'm not sure if Officer Tennille is in the room, but I just want to thank her for her hard work over that period and assisting me in my job as chair. She has changed positions within council, and I just want to thank her for her role in the RADF committee.
Thank you. I would just, before you speak, I'd just like to say it is a great little committee, and I really did enjoy it, even though I had no idea what I was doing there either, to be honest. But it was really good. So and I know you're in good hands, and I know the committee's in good hands with you as the chair. So congratulations to you, Mayoral. Would you like to speak?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank the committee for endorsing my nomination as chair, and the council also. Obviously, with the arts and culture portfolio, this will be an exciting part of my portfolio. And yes, I recognise the hard work was done by the previous committee. Mm-hmm. And it's great to have Councillor Hancock still on the committee with that expertise and experience. Also like to thank Tennille in her absence for all the work that she's done. And I understand hopefully from a different role, she may be able to still give us support ongoing, but they have done a great job in changing the way the process happens, and it's great for all the communities across the Maranoa to have access to this funds for what they need, and I look forward to us further developing over the term of this council.
Very good. Anyone else like to speak? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
9-0. .3 attracting 2025 Queensland Information Centre Association Conference to Roma.
I've just got staff waiting outside.
Okay.
I've got a question.
Morning, Georgia.
I've got a question.
Yes.
Just when they say there's no costs, and this is the concern that I raised when I was first approached with this one, Staff overtime and all those sort of things, are they an in-kind support? Has that been taken into consideration and have we got, I'm not against the project, as I said, it's just the full cost to council, even though Quicker is paying for the forum, the cost to council comes to staffing in kind and all those things.
So through the chair, it's part of the staff's role to actually assist with the bids for these conferences and assist these to come in. So it's actually business as usual. It's not an additional.
I think it's other than the bid, outside of the bid, if it was successful in terms of the event, if it came here, I think the councillor's question is about staff time. If the event was to be held here, would there be expectation of our staff giving in kind?
Again, I believe that's more business as usual. I'll let Greg speak to that. It's part of their
through
role.
the chair, and thank you, Councillor Vincent and CEO Hayward. A great question, but as CEO has mentioned, this is part of the overall role of what we do, as against distinctive versus if we were mowing the lawns or needed that. That's where obviously there's cost back to council, but our role is basically to interface, to meet, greet, sort problems, push them in the right direction. And that's the role of the events officer and the role of our department.
So just to follow on from that, on the first night, it's drinks at the Big Rig, and that is hosted by Maranoa Regional Council. So staff time and all that would be after hours?
Through the chair, that's correct. But I suppose looking at these opportunities, these are the opportunities to showcase our.
I don't have any issue with the project itself.
Yeah.
None at all.
No.
It's just that realisation that they're having done Outback Awards in 2018. Well, yeah, it was a huge undertaking for council staff. Early mornings, late nights, packing up and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So if they do a time off in lieu, or can they do that? Is you worried about paying overtime or just man hours?
It's just in the report that there is no cost to council.
Yeah, just says no cost.
There is no cost to council.
And the background on
And
this
if
one.
there's budget.
Sorry, Councillor.
You're right.
No, Councillor Vincent and I were discussing it there. We were looking with it there, and I felt that was something that needed to come back to council to the table, obviously for approval, rather than just obviously an internal officer decision. So that's why the report was prepared. And Greg and I had a chat about it there, and I understand that part of the role is about trying to attract events to come to Roma, but I just sort of felt, well, this is really a report that needs to come to council for approval to see if we want to put our hand up for this or not first. So that's why it sort of landed on the table, because, I can understand where the staff were coming from. They said, oh, well, part of our job is to attract events and we're going to go forth with it. I said, no, it has implications there. It needs to come back to the table to council. So as Councillor Vincent said, whilst it's not a dollar contribution, there is a contribution of time. So hence that's why the report was brought to the table.
Councillor O'Neill.
I'm just interested, I can't recall this conference being held in 2016, but there must have been reports on file somewhere if our team were involved in it then, to understand the workload. Because Councillor Vincent, which conference did you just say?
Outback
2018.
2018. Is that the one Putty was heavily involved? Yeah, out at the Explorers.
And it was massive.
Massive, I remember that.
Massive.
Yeah. I can't recall this. And if the region hosted it, and Roma specifically hosted in 2016, and council is involved, there must be stuff on file to understand the workload from a local government perspective, or at least has anyone spoken to like the South Burnett Regional Council to understand in 2024, or if it hasn't been held, the Gladstone Regional Council to understand what involvement they had? Because I think we should be attracting more events, absolutely, but what impact does it have on the local government?
Through the chair, I'm happy to take that question on notice and come back to you. We have personally. I don't think we've checked with the records. We can certainly do a CM search and see. Hopefully, there's something there, and then we can come back and report on that. bearing in mind, we're still at early days. We're only putting our hand up. We still have to get the nod. So,
And it's in November, so we've got
Yes,
time to
we've
put
got a bit
budget
of time.
towards it, so
Yes.
it's probably just that fear that we've committed, knowing, having been here in
Yes.
2018, how much workload it was on the staff and making sure we've got the staff to do it too.
Correct.
Yeah.
And Councillor O'Neill sort of hit the nail on the head there. It's about event attraction, not about us running it there. And the event will be run by QIA, but it's, again, I just felt it needed to come before council first, just make sure you're happy for us to put an expressive interest into actually to
How many
attract the
days does
event.
it go over?
3, I think it was.
2 to 3,
Oh,
65 to 80 attendees.
yeah, I read that bit. I just didn't know how long it was for.
Can I just make a comment as far as the recommendation goes? It doesn't say in the recommendation, well, we've got it in the executive summary, the EOI has been submitted. I think somewhere we should be saying in the recommendation that council support this EOI to attract the conference.
Yeah. And will we know if is there a second stage, like in the lead up to budget, so we can make sure we're ready if we are successful? There's a second stage to the expression of interest?
Through the chair, Councillor Vincent, my understanding is that they will come back to us and advise that we've been successful. But I'm assuming it's going to take a bit of time. So what I'm proposing is that with the recommendation, we can also, in the ensuing time, look at some of the questions that you've raised, see if we can find the information, so we can build up a bigger picture of what the potential costs could be. Noting that it's only 50 to 60 people, so we're not talking a sizable event at this stage.
I just wonder for the recommendation, should it read that Council 1, receive and note the officer's report as presented, and 2, endorse the submitted expression of interest submission to attract the QICR conference to Roma? Because as you've pointed out, Councillor Flynn, it's already been submitted.
Oh, it's already been submitted.
Yeah.
Councillor just said obviously resolution.
That's correct, Greg, isn't it? It's already, the expression of interest has already been submitted.
Had to be submitted, yes.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, I'm happy to move.
I'm just wondering, visitor information centres, we have, where are they located through the region? Roma, Mitchell, Injune?
And Wallumbilla.
Wallumbilla, is it?
Wallumbilla got an eye, hasn't it?
It's got a white eye. Yeah.
It's not fully accredited, Wallumbilla, I don't think.
No, it's not fully accredited.
Oh, it's a white one, not a yellow one.
White
Oh,
Yes, yes.
So what, Roma, Mitchell, Injune?
And Surat's my
And Surat.
understanding.
It's not a yellow eye.
Surat's not a yellow.
So that's not
Okay,
yellow.
so I was just wondering if there was opportunity, if we were successful, and just feedback on it, would we have the ability to talk to the organisers to possibly, send them around the region, like to Injune, if they wanted to do, like, just so that we can showcase the region as a whole as well, and with the yellow eyes, if that's there, I think that's an opportunity we should be taking as a council to share the experiences around.
Through the chair, Councillor, from the 2013 Quicker Conference, which was at Cairns, I believe, they did bus tours to various other local centres. So.
I believe it's in the report. I
Report to go to
recommended.
Mitchell.
I know Mitchell,
And-
but if we've got a yellow eye.
And somewhere else.
In June.
No, Western
Councillor
Queensland
Just
Spirit.
wanted to raise that when you look at the information of the previous conferences, it's been in Redcliffe twice, and it's been in the Gladstone region twice, once in Gladstone and then at Agnes Water. Given the point that you've raised, Councillor Davis, could we possibly put forward Mitchell or Injune to host this rather than Roma? And I just asked Councillor Burkett how many rooms in total there are between the two motels in Mitchell.
I'm just looking at the email at the top here because
I mean, it's might be a bit late given that it's now Roma, but we might have more of a chance of attracting a conference like this into one of our other towns, given that Roma's already hosted it only 9 years ago. But it might be a bit late given that the EOI's in.
If we've already put the, yeah.
Yeah.
Bed-wise is about 100 beds, but that's not rooms.
Anyway, do I have, yes, Councillor Vincent.
I move that Council 1, receive and note the officer's report as presented, and 2, endorse the submitted expression of interest to attract the Queensland Information Centre Association Conference to Roma.
Have a seconder? Councillor Flynn. Anyone like to, would you like to speak, Councillor?
Yeah, I do. In support of the staff, they did contact me early on to get a letter of support. So thank you for going out and looking for new events. And I know our accommodation is very tight at the moment, so thank you for that work. Yeah, so it's always exciting to bring people out and show how great our region is.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else like to speak? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
9-0. Thank you. Thanks, Georgia.
Thank you, guys.
We're going on to the late. L1. Eureka Electric Vehicle Charging Station for Injune.
I've got a question.
When you're ready, Councillor Vincent.
How do we choose the companies, or do we just go with the first company that comes along? How do these normally work? 'Cause I know Roma's already had somebody come.
Directing that to you, Lee.
Through the chair, Eureka's has come to council for Roma and Injune, and it's mainly because Eureka's the contractor that's delivering the state government super highway, they're calling it. So it's essentially a contractor that's been selected by the state government to roll out the super highway network across Queensland. So it's a good question if you were to have another company come to you that's not affiliated with a state program or whatever. I think that question really would need to be asked as to how do we keep that fair and equitable to other proponents, but the fact that this is a state government initiative is probably the reason that this is here. So
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Do I have a mover? Councillor Vincent.
I move that council receive and review the electric. When do we do the reviewing? Receive and note.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, no, councillors, receive and note the report.
Yeah, receive and note the electric vehicle charging station licence agreement between Maranoa Regional Council and Eureka Proprietary Limited. 2, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to sign the licence agreement with Eureka Proprietary Limited, under which Eureka will install, operate and maintain EV charging infrastructure at the designated location in Injune. Do we need to put the address there? Subject to the agreed terms and conditions.
Probably wouldn't.
Hurt?
Oh, it'll be in the agreement though. So yeah, if you adopt in the agreement, it's in the agreement. So yeah.
Is it the best location?
Yeah.
Who picks the location?
Well, let's talk about
The location's opposite the Injune Post Office, down that bottom end of town. Through the chair, they did present 4 possible locations. The consultation undertaken in Injune with the groups preferred the nominated location in the agreement as the preferred site from local feedback.
Well, just sorry on that because important question there too. Just the consultation is one I asked as well, but do you want to just outline who you
Yes, so certainly. So as part of that, I raised the potential site at the Injune and District Tourism Association meeting, and the feedback there was the nominated location. And previously, I've also raised it with the Advance Injune group at their meeting, and they confirmed that same location as preferred. The other sites, there was a site near the CBD, near the cafe there. However, we have plenty of issues with, available parking in the height of tourism season. So it wasn't deemed ideal to tie up space for, EV charging there. The land behind the Injune Museum was another nominated location. However, that wasn't really deemed suitable with, plans for the museum and that site. The other location was near the swimming pool there, which is a preferred location for tourists with vans and whatnot to pull up, use the facilities and whatnot. So that area that's chosen is still accessible by foot straight into the CBD, a short walk. That was the preferred location.
Councillor Brompton.
Can I ask a question? Are we missing the opportunity for revenue here? Should we be charging a licensing agreement as a forward-thinking? I mean, I don't know, have we looked at what other councils are doing for comparison? Because they're obviously doing it as a commercial business, so we are giving them the I know we're giving tourism and our future residents the option of having access to the charging station, but given that this is a growing industry, are we missing the potential for revenue through this process?
I might just get Cam to comment, because it's discussion we've had there too, because we've had this one's linked back with the state, but we've had other independent people come through, and with the new car park at the lights there and a few other ones there too, and we've had a bit of discussion internally there too, because potentially, you go down the coast there, you see a lot of the service stations there are going that way too. Are we competing with, potentially, the service stations putting these things in there too? So we've had other companies come before us as well, but in terms of this one particularly, I just probably with the team there, just because of the state's involvement there. Did you want to comment?
Yes, through the chair. So we'd previously raised this with the Roma site. So there is a contract in place with the Roma site. We were pushing for $500-600 a year, like rental and that sort of stuff. That was a point of contention. Ultimately, it's up to council if we want to sort of push back and say we want the licence fee to be X. We can go back to them. But yeah, we had previously tried that. Our original draft had a larger sum in there, and that raised for it to be taken out. Probably tying back to Councillor Vincent's comment, Eureka is government owned. It's not a private, it's a government owned. If I was to just, Eureka is part of Energy Queensland, Australia's largest government owned electrical company, but
They're still a commercial entity.
absolutely, they are.
Yeah,
So
I just think it's a potentially a missed opportunity.
When we discussed this last term for this site over here, what I remember was that what they're charging in the early stages of this is next to nothing.
for the
Actually
user.
plug in
For you to charge,
recharge.
it was.
Yeah, from my understanding, they're obviously trying to. The intent of the whole program was to try and just get ahead of the initial market, provide that gap while the service stations and that start to catch up. But yeah, like I can't sit here and say you can't put money in there. It would probably just.
Interesting to see what others are doing, because obviously if they're part of a thing, I mean, if we're missing an opportunity that others are doing, I don't know. I just think it's because this is going to be obviously
It is renewed
ongoing.
in 5 years. I mean, how quickly do we think this market's going to grow? If you do a straw poll down the main street of Roma, you'll say never.
Yeah.
Well, the majority of people say never.
Well, I spoke to a guy at the conference that had those hybrid P flat, or I can't remember the name, that was in that corner behind the grader. He's, and I'm a bit of the same belief, I think it'll be more hybrid, not full electric. I think it'll go back, that's where the niche market will be, the combination, because of all the dramas that we see when we come out west. So yeah, it's still a gamble, I think.
If council want us to,
For dollars everywhere, I'm just thinking
Yeah.
this could be
Even to pay
a
for
missed
the
opportunity.
whippersnaping around it.
Yeah.
if council want us to do some market research, we can. Eureka are pushing for this, but we can also. I think we'd struggle to ring a few councils in today's meeting. It's just difficult to get onto the exact contact. So I think it would.
Fortnight though, if we delay this till the next.
Yeah, we haven't had one for a while, lay on the table, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
It does
Yeah.
talk about the licence fee in here, but it doesn't mention any
It's a dollar.
Yeah, it's
Dollar.
a, it's a
It's
dollar.
just a dollar.
Yeah, it was, it was originally sitting in there, I think at $500 or something like that as part of the original draft. But if council would like their market research, it wouldn't take long to reach out to some of our colleagues. I just think I'd be probably overcommitting to say we'd be able to get onto 3 or 4 councils today while the meeting's still open. If we can, we'll try. But yeah.
Well, I'll move we defer this item until the next ordinary meeting of council to undertake some market analysis across other local governments in Queensland.
Councillor Vincent?
I just wanted to ask one final question. There is a sign at that location, so whether we have to put that in to have that shifted left or right in front of where I think it is, because it's a Telstra building, isn't it?
Yeah, that's correct. That's in front of that Telstra site there.
Yeah.
Yep.
And there's a tourism sign
Okay.
on that footpath as well.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Brumpton, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
9-0. L2. I'll find it. Local Government Association of Queensland Advisory Groups and Darling Downs and South West Regional Development Australia Committee appointments. Okay. Councillor O'Neill.
I'll move that Council 1 receive this report as an update to Council's expression of interest to Local Government Association of Queensland LGAQ Advisory Groups and Regional Development Australia, RDA, Darling Downs and South West Board. To note that the following councillors were appointed on the following Local Government Association of Queensland LGAQ Advisory Groups. The Roads and Transport Advisory Group, myself, Councillor Cameron O'Neill. The Water and Wastewater Advisory Group, Councillor John Burkett. Is that right, Councillor Burkett? That's what it's called?
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Yep. And Waste Management and Circular Economy Advisory Group, Councillor Jane Vincent. And 3, note that Councillor Joe Hancock was appointed to the Regional Development Australia, RDA, Darling Downs and South West Board.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Davis. Would you like to speak, Councillor?
Thanks very much, Mayor. I think this is a really good outcome to see that Maranoa Regional Council is back at the table in the role that we're elected to do, and that's to advocate for our community. To see, in particular, that all 3 nominations that were put forward to the advisory groups, there are only 3 advisory groups for LGAQ in this term of council. All 3 nominations of the different councillors were successful and have been appointed. I think that is an indication that LGAQ is very keen to be working with Maranoa Regional Council. It is something that was lacking in the last 4 years, and I really welcome the opportunity, particularly from my perspective, to advocate for our community on issues around roads and transport into that advisory group, and similarly for Councillor Vincent and Councillor Burkett with their respective groups. Councillor Burkett, you'll bring additional skills and experience to your group, given that your professional background, and well, you will. And I think this is a step in the right direction. I know, Mayor Taylor, you very clearly articulated when you got elected mayor that you wanted to rebuild the relationships with stakeholders across the region. I too, as an individual councillor, committed to that each time that I've stood for council, and this is what we've got to do. We've got to be at the table if we are going to do the right things by our community to make sure that we're advocating for good outcomes. And LGAQ are the powerhouse. They're our association from a sector perspective, and we will wield some really good influence into our association to get good outcomes for our community. To Councillor Hancock, congratulations on your appointment to RDA, Darling Downs and South West. It is the first time that we have had a representative from our patch sitting on that particular board. And you, as now the chair of the Economic Development Portfolio for Council, I think this is a really welcomed addition. Obviously, you'll be advocating for the whole region, but you are there coming from the Maranoa, and I think that is just wonderful for our community to have people at these tables advocating on behalf of our community. So really looking forward to some good outcomes. It does mean we're investing. Sending myself and Councillor Birkin and Councillor Vincent to the advisory groups for LGAQ. I think there's 4 meetings a year, what I've seen in my terms of reference. 2 of them at least will be face-to-face, the other 2 will be online. But it does mean Council is investing in sending us to these things, and I think that will be a welcomed investment because we're at the table advocating for our community, which had been lacking for some time. So I'm pretty excited about this and really happy to have moved the resolution.
I too would like to congratulate those that are on those committees. I think it's amazing that we're going to be at the table for all those things. It's in Brisbane, is it, that they usually go to?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, at the LGAQ.
At LGAQ House, yeah.
Yeah, so looking forward to you, especially Jane, so that she, that waste management, she's going to be all over it. So I'm very pleased for all of you, and I congratulate you all. I just think you'll all do an amazing job, and for that we'll be really thankful. So anybody else like to speak?
All been said.
All right, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
9-0. We might break for morning tea. I'm back at 11. Back. All right, we'll resume the meeting at 11 o'clock. And can someone move us into closed? Oh, we've got conflicts first. Sorry. So sorry. I'd like to declare a conflict on LC1, Scope of Organisational Structure Review. The declaring councillor is myself, Wendy Taylor. The person of interest is my brother-in-law, Ian Andrews. Ian is employed by Maranoa Regional Council. It's a declarable conflict of interest, and although I have a declarable conflict of interest, I do not believe a reasonable person could have a perception of bias. Therefore, I will choose to remain in the meeting. However, I will respect the decision of the meeting on whether I can remain and participate in the decision. Councillor Vincent.
I move that it is in the public interest that Councillor Taylor participates and votes on agenda item LC1 because a reasonable person would trust that the decision is made in the public interest.
Seconder, Councillor Davis.
Well,
Can
no.
you second? No, you're all right.
Oh,
You've
you've
got a
got-
conflict.
Oh, so
Yeah.
sorry.
Sorry,
Apologies.
Councillor O'Neill. Okay. All those in favour? Who can vote?
Yes.
1, 2, 3. You can't vote?
Yes.
Okay. 4. 4-0.
I'd also like to declare a conflict. The item is.
Does that mean, is there 5 councillors who have a conflict on this same?
No.
Councillor Flynn's
Councillor
not here.
Flynn's not here.
So there's 4 councillors who have conflict on the same thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'd like to declare an interest on item LC1. Description is scope of organisational structure review. The declaring councillor is myself, Amber Davis. The person with the interest is my husband, Wayne Davis. The particulars of the interest is that my husband is employed by Maranoa Regional Council. It's a declarable conflict of interest. Although I have a declarable conflict of interest, I do not believe a reasonable person could have the perception of bias. Therefore, I will choose to remain in the meeting. However, I will respect the decision of the meeting on whether I can remain and participate in the discussion.
Councillor O'Neill.
I'll move that it is in the public interest that Councillor Davis participates and votes on agenda item LC1 because a reasonable person would trust that the decision is made in the public interest.
Seconded by Councillor Vincent. All those in favour?
Yes.
4-0. Councillor Burkett.
I'm going to declare a conflict of interest on item LC1, scope of organisational structure review. The declaring councillor is myself. Person with the interest of related parties, my sister Elena Irwin. Particulars of interest. My sister Elena Irwin is an employee of the Maranoa Regional Council. It's a declarable conflict of interest. and although I have a declarable conflict of interest, I do not believe a reasonable person could have a perception of bias. Therefore, I will choose to remain in the meeting. However, I will respect the decision of the meeting on whether I can remain and participate in the decision.
Somebody got words? Councillor Seawright?
I move that it's in the public interest that Councillor Burke participates and votes on agenda item LC1 because a reasonable person would trust that the decision is made in the public interest.
Seconder? Councillor Vincent? All those in favour?
Yes.
4-0. Councillor Brompton?
I would also like to declare an interest on item LC1, scope of organisational structure review. The declaring councillor is myself. The person with the interest-related party is my daughter, Erin Brompton. Particulars of the interest: my daughter Erin is employed by the Maranoa Regional Council. It's a declarable conflict of interest. Although I have a declarable conflict of interest, I do not believe a reasonable person could have a perception of bias. Therefore, I will choose to remain in the meeting. However, I will respect the decision on the meeting on whether I can remain and participate in the decision.
Councillor Vincent?
I move that it is in the public interest that Councillor Brompton participates and votes on agenda item LC1 because a reasonable person would trust that the decision is made in the public interest.
Seconded by Councillor Seawright. All those in favour?
Yes.
4-0. Do we have any others? No. Could somebody move us into closed? Councillor Brompton?
In accordance with the, I move that in accordance with the provisions of section 254J3 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, that council resolves to close the meeting to the public at 11:06 a.m. to discuss confidential items that its council consider to discuss confidential items that its councillors consider is necessary to close the meeting. That's not grammatically correct, but we know what we're talking about. In accordance with section 254J5 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the following table provides the matters to be discussed, an overview of what is to be discussed when the meeting is closed. C1, existing fleet replacement recommendation to procure 14 utilities. C2, existing fleet replacement recommendation to procure one 12-foot maintenance grader and one 14-foot maintenance grader. C3, Queensland Audit Office 2024 closing report draft. C4, request for discount, assessment number 13004742. C5, request for fee waiver, archive retrieval fee. C6, tender 25008, lease of council-owned land for grazing purposes, part of Lot 2 on RP 101099. C7, claim for damages, vehicle damage. C8, request for capital works program reprioritisation and amendment, firefighting capacity. LC1, scope of organisational structure review. LC2, regional housing program, purchase of strategic land.
Have a seconder? Councillor Seawright. All those in favour?
Yes.
8-0. We're in closed.
I move we go to close.
Have a seconder? Councillor Vincent. All those in favour?
Yes.
8-0. Are you right, Zara?
Where are we going to first?
We're going to go to
C1?
C1. We'll do the close first and then come back to the open. That's all right. C1, existing fleet replacement recommendation to procure 14 utilities. Do I have a mover? Councillor Seawright.
I move that Council 1 select Black Truck and Ag as the supplier for the supply and delivery of 11 dual cab 4x4 utilities for $620,494.49 inclusive of GST, excluding registration and CTP insurance. 2, select Black Truck and Ag as the supplier for the supply and delivery of 3 single cab 4x4 utilities for $162,301.80 inclusive of GST, excluding registration and CTP insurance. Authorise the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to finalise negotiations with Black Truck and Ag HFB Trust and issue purchase orders if final terms are acceptable.
Councillor Burkett seconds that. Would you like to speak, councillor?
Not so to an extent, but just to thank the diligence and due process that our staff went through to execute, and the tender supply panel, the parameters they put around it. We did analyse it quite well, and the staff did an excellent job in just coming up with what they have come up with.
Councillor Burkett?
Yeah, I'd just like to follow on from Councillor Seawright. I'd just like to congratulate the fleet manager, Ollie. We started a process which Ollie had a lot to do with in the last term of, turning over vehicles a lot quicker and keeping under that warranty period. And I think, I was a bit torn between Hilux and the Isuzu, but I think that moving forward, either one's a pretty good result because of that thing we got in place with turning them over a lot quicker.
Okay, anyone else like to speak?
Yeah, probably should.
We'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
8-0. C2, existing fleet replacement recommendation to procure one 12-foot maintenance grader and one 14-foot maintenance grader. Do I have a mover? Councillor Seawright.
I move that Council 1 select Hastings Deering Australia as the recommended supplier of one Caterpillar 140 12-foot maintenance grader for the amount of $530,000, excluding GST, registration and CTP insurance. 2, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or Delegate to enter final negotiations with Hastings Deering Australia Limited and raise purchase order if the final terms are acceptable. 3, select Hastings Deering Australia as the recommended supplier of one Caterpillar 140 14-foot maintenance grader for the amount of $535,000, excluding GST, registration and CTP insurance. 4, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or Delegate to enter into final negotiations with Hastings Deering Australia Limited and raise purchase order if the final terms are acceptable.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Burkett, would you like to speak, councillor?
Yes, thanks. Again, I'd just like to thank Ollie and the due process that the council have gone around to replace this fleet at the current existing fleet at a lower hours. They've looked at parameters in where we're starting to spend money and the best amount of hours to turn these equipment over. Also, thanks to the parameters again that they've put around it to actually consult with our staff of what best vehicle or machine to buy in regards to fit for purpose, whether we're not overspending just because we want a bigger grader for unnecessarily needed requirements. So we've examined it and been through it, and these are just fit for purpose, and the price suits what we are after at this point in time.
Thank you. Councillor
Yeah, I
Burkett.
just follow on as well. I think the key thing is asking the staff, and they've given good feedback. Historically, at times, probably the wrong person could have been selecting on certain things. So I think the guys that are on the actual road working these graders, it's beneficial to have their input. And once again, thanks to Manager Ollie.
Anybody else like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those favour?
Yes.
8-0. C3, Queensland Audit Office 2024 Closing Report Draft. Councillor Brompton.
I move that council receive and note the officer's report as presented.
A second? I thought it'd be longer than that. Councillor, seconded by Councillor O'Neill. Would you like to speak, councillor?
Just to say that we're being more open with the full council this time. The audit committee, there was no reason to actually present this full report to council, but the councillors have expressed an interest in the detail of what the audit and risk committee are doing and what sort of things we consider. So we actually did present the whole report to the full council so they understand the information that the audit office is providing us.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else like to speak? I'd just like to say all of those things as well. I think this is the way forward for us. We're looking to be as transparent as possible, but also make sure that we're taking our councillors on the journey with us as well, because it's only 2 councillors that are actually in the room. So I just think we're looking forward, and I think it's going to be a great committee. So thank you to all those for that. Okay, let's go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
8-0. C4, request for discount assessment number 13004742. Councillor Vincent.
I move that council receive and note the request and to advise the ratepayer that on this occasion the discount of $115.29 be granted.
I have a seconder, Councillor Burkett. Would you like to speak, Councillor?
Just quickly, we do, in our policy, we do have a hardship section that ratepayers are able to write in and explain why they couldn't meet the deadline, and on this occasion we feel that hardship has been shown.
Anybody else like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
8-0. C5, request for fee waiver, archive retrieval fee. Do I have a mover? Councillor Brompton.
I move that council refuse to grant a waiver of the archive retrieval fee of $210 for copies of and conditions of approvals for determined application number 208/19738 and determined application number 208/19815.
Seconded by Councillor Davis. Would you like to speak, Councillor?
The information given to us, it was very clear for the applicant of what the fees were. So in this case, I believe we're totally within our rights to refuse to grant the fee waiver because it was very clear what the charges were.
Anyone else like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
8-0. C6, tender 25008, lease of council-owned land for grazing purposes, part of Lot 2 on RP 101099. Do I have a mover? Councillor Davis.
I move that Council 1 accept the tender submitted by Ashley Denmead as the recommended successful tenderer.
Recommended tender for...
Replace recommended with successful. Tenderer for tender 25008, lease over part of lot 2 on RP 101099, described as section 2 Newbond Street, Roma. 2, delegate authority to the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to enter into final negotiations with the successful applicant and execute the lease of the term for 2 years. 3, assign the income to GL 14911075. Is that enough numbers for a GL?
It's probably
Yep,
a
thank
revenue
you.
one. It's probably, yeah.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Seawright. Would you like to speak, Councillor?
No, just to say that it was an open tender. It has been assessed, and this one provides council with the most revenue for that land, and it's in accordance with every other lease we have for 2 years.
Anyone else like to speak? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
8-0. C7, claim for damages, vehicle damage. Do I have a mover? Councillor Vincent.
I move that council, on receipt of a statutory declaration that states that this does not form part of any other claim, example insurance, and that it is a true and accurate record detailing the incident. 1, reimburse the claimant the amount of $530, being the cost to remedy the vehicle's damage on the following conditions. A, council and the claimant acknowledge that council are not legally liable for the incident. B, the claimant agrees to accept the amount of $530 as full and final settlement of all claims arising from the alleged incident on the 4th of November 2024. 2, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to execute the deed of release.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Brompton. Would you like to speak, Councillor?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Anyone like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
8-0. C8, request for capital works program reprioritisation and amendment firefighting capacity. Do I have Councillor Burkett?
I'd like to move that Council 1 approve to include new projects in the 2024-25 Capital Works Program for the upgrade of the water mains at Beaumont Drive and the installation of extra fire hydrants to the Western Industrial Zone's Raglan Street, Roma. 2, reallocate the funds of $284,374 from the Russell Street Roma water main replacement work order 24477 and refer the project to be considered in the 2025-26 budget deliberations.
I have a seconder. Councillor Brompton, would you like to speak, Councillor?
Oh, just to say thanks to staff and also anything that we can improve that water in that eastern end of town there. There's been a few issues and I think we're slowly getting on top of them. And anywhere that we can increase safety with fire hydrants in the correct locations is a good thing.
Anyone else like to speak? Councillor Brompton.
Just also I'd like to indicate that we checked about the Russell Street deferral and it's not urgent that work occurs and will certainly still be considered next year so they won't be missing out.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else like to speak? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
8-0. Go on to LC1. Scope of organisational structure review. Councillor O'Neill.
I'll move the Council 1 adopt the scope of the organisational review as outlined in the report. 2, engage Change 2020 to continue staff engagement works regarding the next steps of the organisational review as per the scope referred to in dot point 1 above. 3, expenditure of up to $40,000 excluding GST be sourced from GL 2161 209 for human resources, legal and professional services.
Have a seconder. Councillor Seawright, would you like to speak, Councillor? Anyone like to speak? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
8-0. LC2, Regional Housing Program, purchase of strategic land. Councillor O'Neill.
I'll move that Council 1 receive and note the report. 2, approve the increase in budget of $85,000 for the Strategic Housing Project Fund. Approve the increase in budget of $85,000 for the Strategic Housing Project Fund be drawn from work order 00023569 Housing Renewal Upgrade Program to allow the purchase of the land described in dot point 2. 3, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to make an offer within the range specified in option B to purchase the land described as option B in the report and execute any contract documents if successful.
Have a seconder. Councillor Vincent, would you like to speak, Councillor?
Thanks very much, Mayor. For those in our community that are watching the proceedings and looking at our minutes, as much as I am 100% committed to the open and transparent nature of what we do here, obviously there are some commercial activities that Council undertakes. One of them can be, at times, the purchasing of land. Obviously, we want to get the best possible result for our ratepayers, and I believe that this resolution will do that. And I look forward into the future, us talking more broadly about what we're doing in this housing space and what we're looking to achieve to mitigate some of the pressures that our community is facing in respect to housing and affordable housing in our community.
Anyone else like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
8-0. That's just got to be a 3-2, Janison's not, yeah, they're good. All right, we're going back to what we laid on the table. Oh, yeah.
Councillors, there's an email there with the attachment. Is that revised list of the meeting dates? It's taken a while to open.
So the first one says January 22/29. What does that, is it?
No, it's ordinary meeting number 22. It's on the 29th of January.
Meeting number 22.
Yes.
Oh, okay, got it.
23, 24.
Yep. Just making sure you're all watching. It's all good.
Although why is that numbering like that? Because it's got 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, and then in May we go to 7.
We do too.
Oh, that was it, because this was the bit we filled in before May, so that's got something to do with that.
Yeah, but the numbering isn't right.
Yeah. Should be 29.
The change again after that?
The numbering of the meeting won't, that can just be an administrative
Have to
Yeah.
fix
fix
it,
up.
but
It's just the
Yeah.
actual meeting
Yeah.
description.
Yeah.
The actual one that goes on the website, but the meeting dates. All right.
So Mayor, I think I started to move this, didn't I?
God, I don't know.
I think I did.
I didn't have a mover.
Have you got
I just in
new-
my notes I didn't have a mover for that one.
You didn't have a mover?
I must have indicated I was
You
going to.
lay on
and
the
then-
table.
You
and
laid
there
it
were
on the
questions.
table.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy to move.
Oh, do you want me to say what it is?
Yep.
10.1, setting of meeting days 2025.
I'll move the council, 1, adopt the ordinary meeting schedule as proposed. 2, hold all ordinary meetings and briefings at council's Roma Administration Centre. Commence all ordinary meetings at 9 a.m. That's a change. Commence all ordinary meetings at 9 a.m. And then I'll add a dot point 4.
You could add it just to the end to 4, Cam.
Oh, yeah. Continue to hold briefings, including all agenda for Mayoral on the 2nd, 4th ordinary meeting.
And
This will
commence-
generally be at the 2nd, 4th Tuesday of the month. And commence briefings at 8:30 or 9 o'clock, subject to need. So I'll read that one again. Point 4 of the resolutions, continue to hold councillor briefings, including an agenda familiarisation segment on the day prior to each ordinary meeting, noting that after May this would... prior to each ordinary meeting?
That needs to, that nearly needs to come out. I think that's from last year, like.
Yeah, but I don't think we
was,
need
yeah.
it. Yeah.
So continue to hold councillor briefings, including agenda familiarisation segment on the day prior to each ordinary meeting.
And commence.
Uh,
No, just got to take that noting that.
I don't think you need the noting. I don't think you need that in there.
No, take, yeah.
Yeah, I need continue to hold councillor briefings on the 2nd and 4th Wednesdays. No, that's
No.
not right. 2nd and 4th.
Tuesdays.
It's the day prior to each ordinary meeting.
Just
Yeah.
get rid of the nothing but after May. This was generally.
The May where the stuff was there just in the last council, that was because we had just come in on council and we were out of
Oh yeah, sorry.
think a bit, so we
Yeah.
don't need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
May, the other
Yeah.
things can
Hold
stay.
briefing, including agenda on the day prior to each ordinary meeting and commence these briefings at 8:30 a.m. or 9 a.m. subject to need.
We don't need the
Just-
second and fourth Tuesday.
Yeah,
Hang on.
you do.
Yeah.
No, because we've adopted a meeting schedule that's got dates on it.
And one of them sometimes is
Yeah, but they're
a
the day
Wednesday.
before the meeting schedule.
Yeah, and that's dot point 5, everyone.
Yeah.
Continue to hold councillor briefings, including agenda familiarisation, so on the day prior to each ordinary meeting. This will generally be on the 2nd and 4th Tuesday of each month, and commence these briefings at either 8:30 or 9 a.m. subject to need. 5, hold councillor briefings on the 1st and 3rd Wednesday of each month, and commence these briefings at 8:30 a.m. or 9 a.m. subject to need. And leave when required as well. And 6, notes that any future schedule changes to the ordinary meeting schedule are subject to formal approval by council, and any changes to the briefing schedule are subject to informal agreement by council.
Just have to.
I think we got
Just
that.
waiting for number
Yeah.
5.
And I have a question when you're ready, Mayor.
Yes, councillor?
I just am wondering why, Councillor Neil, why are we having to put the time in for the briefings? Simply because I wonder if we're going to limit ourselves, because sometimes we might have a function that might start at 8 o'clock and, might not finish till 9:30. And so sometimes we don't start out, there's potential that we might not start a briefing till 11 o'clock or 1 o'clock some days. I'm just wondering if putting the times in there is actually locking us into not being flexible.
Just putting the times agreed informally, like the bottom one.
Like sometimes, we've been to scone time and then started our briefing after that, or I just am worried we're locking ourselves into a starting time on briefings. I get the ordinary meeting time that we have to do that, but I just don't know if we need to for our briefing times.
Is it covered by the end of point 6, as Councillor Burkett said?
And in number 4, you've got subject to need.
Yeah, but I get what you're saying, Councillor Hancock. But
Is that
that
last-
does, subject to informal agreement by council, does that cover that or not?
Is that the end of point 6, Councillor Hancock? It sort of says, any changes to the briefing schedule are subject to informal agreement by council. Just wonder if that covers the
I
concern.
Any change
yeah,
to
I
the
under-
briefing schedule in brackets, including times,
Start them, yeah,
are subject to informal agreement.
which was an email.
I understand that. I just am wondering, is there an actual reason why we are putting a time in there that's different from a previous time?
I kind of just floated this, Councillor Hancock, just with like getting the staff and saying that councillors are going to be available for this time, since we do have a backlog of deputations and staff wanting to come and do briefings. I see scone time and those other engagements as community engagements, which also form our briefing days as well. It's just, for me, it's just saying that we are going to be available at these times and staff can stack our calendar appropriately for that if needed.
But I get what you're saying, Councillor Hancock, but I think point 6 gives the flexibility for us to change that subject to a whole heap of things that can be raised at diary meetings and, other workshops. It was just putting a time in there to indicate that councillors are available for an 8:30 a.m. start, given what Councillor Davis had just shared with the meeting.
It's
And
just
the other-
till we catch up a bit, I think. I don't know. We just seem to be... They're very full days.
Okay,
All right.
you
I
had-
mean, as long as
Sorry, Councillor Hancock.
as long as we're just not gonna, like I get it. I'm committed to doing those days. I just want to make sure we're not putting ourselves into a situation that
can't
makes
get out of,
us not
yeah.
flexible,
Yeah.
or it becomes an issue to do that. But the other thing is number 4 and number 5. So number 4, continue to hold councillor briefings, and then number 5, hold councillor briefings.
Which is subject to need. So we're saying we're continuing to hold a councillor briefing the day before every council meeting, and then the other one is holding the alternate briefings subject to need.
That's right. So we're talking about similar things, but they're 2 different times. I just wonder if it should be hold additional councillor briefings on.
Or just move the subject to need to the start of the sentence, which makes it clearer.
And
But they're additional.
What is missing there, and we probably should capture, is on that first and third Wednesday, what we agreed to earlier in this term was councillor briefings / community engagement.
Yeah.
But is that,
Sorry.
sorry, I was going to say that's deputations too, though, that are, is that
No, but
community
that's
engagement?
Briefing days
That's
are...
in the councillor briefings, but
Yeah.
the community engagement was on that last Wednesday.
Yeah.
Do we go?
Yeah.
So just after 0.5 there, Janice, subject to need hold council briefings / community engagement.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say that we don't have subject to need at the start of 5. It's whole councillor briefings / community engagement on the first and third Wednesday of each month. And if we decide to do something different, then we can, point 6 captures our ability to be able to do that.
Just on number 1, do we need to as circulated by email rather than as proposed in the report?
Yeah.
Yeah, through the chair, I was just going to suggest adopt, rather than as circulated by email, is it adopt the revised ordinary meeting schedule. We'll just because we've got 2 in existence, we just need to,
That'd be adopt the revised ordinary meeting schedule, yeah.
Does that have to be put in there because it's an open thing to show the new schedule?
That's why it's probably referring to revised, because
It will go in there.
Yeah, it'll be rerun.
Are we good? You moved it?
I did.
Did anyone second it?
Not yet.
I think so, someone did, I think.
No, not yet.
No, not yet.
Somebody second that? Councillor Davis, do you want to speak to this, Councillor O'Neill?
Is it all clear? Do you want me to read it again, or we all know what it is?
You can read again.
So just for completeness, I am moving that Council 1 adopt the revised ordinary meeting schedule. 2, hold all ordinary meetings and briefings at Council's Roma Administration Centre. 3, commence all ordinary meetings at 9 a.m. 4, continue to hold councillor briefings, including an agenda familiarisation segment, on the day prior to each ordinary meeting. This will generally be on the 2nd and 4th Tuesday of each month, and commence briefings at 8:30 a.m. or 9 a.m. subject to need. 5, hold councillor briefings, community engagement on the 1st and 3rd Wednesday of each month, and commence briefings /community engagement at 8:30 a.m. or 9 a.m. Then subject to need. And 6, notes that any future schedule changes to the ordinary meeting schedule are subject to formal approval by council, and any changes to the briefing schedule, including times, are subject to an informal agreement by council.
Very good. Anyone else, would you like to speak?
Thanks, Mayor. I think this is pretty clear that council is committed to maintaining the meeting schedule of our ordinary meetings on a Wednesday, which has been common practice since amalgamation. It indicates that it is council's desire to hold the ordinary meetings at Roma's Administration Centre and to look at a schedule of community engagement across the year where we can get out to our smaller communities and have meaningful engagement, whether that's by town hall meetings or community hall meetings, whether it's just putting on a barbecue where all councillors can attend and have proper open communication and conversations with our residents and community. I think this will allow councillors to be able to, at the very least, block out those 6 days each month, knowing that the intention is that we will be coming together both for ordinary meetings and for briefings and or community engagement on those days.
Anyone else like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
8-0. 10.2, Mayoral Robe's update on expressions of interest. Do I have a mover? Councillor Davis.
I move that Council 1 approve the procurement of the Mayoral Robe through a specialist supply, given there were no responses to the local expression of interest. 2, that funds estimated at $1,400 be sourced from GL 2021-2234, elected members and community engagement, civic functions and ceremonies.
Seconded by Councillor Brompton. Would you like to speak, Councillor?
I think I've already spoken when we first did this, so no.
Okay. I would like to just, I don't know if I spoke or not, I can't even remember. I didn't. Well, I will speak. I was pretty sad the fact that we didn't get an expression of interest from a local, because I just thought that, that is really something that would be special. But I am going to source out what sort of material it should be so that hopefully we might be able to get something embroidered on it, and because it'll have to be fairly lightweight if it's just primarily going to be for January and Australia Day and that sort of thing. So, I was pretty sad that nobody came forward, but that's just how it is. So, and I just really would like it for Australia Day, so that's why we really has to come today for us to get organised. So, Yeah, but anyway, that's how it is. So anybody else like to speak? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
8-0.
11.2, then back to 11.1.
11.2.
Okay, we've got an alternate resolution that's been circulated by email.
11.1, which is the adoption of the annual report. So you do 11.2, then back to 11.1. We said we
Didn't
leave
he
that
want
to last.
11.1 to be last?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we said 11.2 first, then 11.1.
Yeah,
11.2.
11.2, yeah.
I'll just wait for the,
11.2 is the Audit Committee meeting minutes from the 14th of October 2024.
just waiting for the minute taker to have the information there. You're right, Janice. I'll move that Council 1 receive and note the unconfirmed minutes of the Audit Committee meeting held on 14th of October 2022. 2, acknowledge that the Audit Committee has reviewed and noted the following items: position paper community housing transition updated for 30th of June 2024, position paper flood restoration program 2023-24, position paper refuse landfill rehabilitation provision 2023-24, position paper asset capitalisation process 2023-24, financial statements for the year ended 30th of June 2024, external auditors closing report 2024, and briefing paper acknowledging it has been completed, Audit Committee terms of reference, Audit Committee annual work plan 2024 and schedule of meeting dates, strategic internal audit plan. 3, endorse the specific recommendations of the Audit Committee. Item 4.4, asset capitalisation process, that the Director of Infrastructure in conjunction with the finance team is to present a collaborative plan at the next Audit Committee meeting. Item 4.8, Audit Committee Annual Work Plan 2024 and schedule of meeting dates, that meetings be scheduled quarterly, specifically in December, March and June in accordance with the Annual Work Plan. Item 4.9, Strategic Internal Audit Plan, that officers engage with Crow on the allocation of audit days with the CEO to consider budget implications.
Very good. Seconder, Councillor O'Neill. Has anyone got any questions? Would you like to speak, Councillor?
I think I spoke earlier, so happy to.
Councillor O'Neill.
I'll speak. I'm happy to support this. I think this resolution now addresses any of the governance standard concerns that this council may have had in terms of the reporting back from the Audit Committee to council. At the end of the day, the Audit Committee is a function of Maranoa Regional Council. It has no authority to make decisions on behalf of council, but can, and rightfully so, should provide recommendations for council to consider. I think we will see as this term progresses, there will be a lot more media recommendations that will come out of the Audit Committee for council to consider. But I think this resolution illustrates the right standard for us to move forward in respect to the Audit Committee, and I'm very happy to second.
Anyone else like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
8-0. Going back to 11.1, 23-24 annual report. Anybody got any questions?
Received some amendments there from a couple of the councillors last night and this morning. We've included just some minor changes.
I've got some to send through to you too, Rob. Yeah.
Okay.
Possibly the same as well.
yeah.
We'll cross-reference them.
I just, one of the ones that I've got, oh, sorry, have I missed the process? Am I just to send them through to you, CEO, rather than raising them now? Or I've just got one that...
Raise them now, councillors. We just councillors reviewed it last night and sent through some changes prior to the meeting. But no, absolutely, if there's any...
Just on page 26, I'm trying to just see it. It's a bit tricky. I was just a bit concerned that it said that we have created an investment prospectus. We actually haven't yet. We are we haven't, that hasn't been adopted by council, so it just reads as if it's been done, when it's not. It's we're working on, we're developing.
To develop, yeah.
Yeah, would be my thing. And also just noting, some of the councillor's expenditure on that page doesn't add up to me,
one's
doesn't
been
seem
picked up.
right.
Yeah, no, thanks for that.
We
That was picked up yesterday.
You picked that one up yesterday,
Through,
Joe.
through the chair, that our internal data is correct. When it was transferred from the Word document to the PDF into this document, it misaligned. So definitely, the recorded information is correct, and that'll be corrected now as well.
Yeah. Because otherwise it looked like you walked it to every meeting and I drove.
Yeah, that's right. And also even the remuneration across the councillors from last term wasn't all the same, which it's got to be. We all get paid the same, except the mayor and the deputy mayor. So that wasn't right either. I'm just wondering, will we be able to see those updates?
You're right. That was brought up yesterday too. I think because yourself and I, besides the deputy mayor and mayor, ours will be different because we
Continued.
6 months, yeah.
There'll be three extra months.
Oh, 3 months, yeah.
For the financial year.
Yes, true.
That's why it's different.
Would we be able to see the report before it actually, once it's actually finalised with the drafts? Can it be re-emailed to us, please?
With the minor edits.
With the minor edits, yeah.
Yes, please.
It's being adopted today with minor edits, yep.
Yes.
Absolutely.
But if we could get them emailed, if we can see the report before it goes up, that'd be great.
Yeah. Okay, do I have a mover? Oh, I had a mover. Oh, no, you just wanted to move
No.
to the end of the thing, yeah. Does anyone want to move it? Councillor O'Neill.
I'll move the council adopt the 2023-24 annual report for Maranoa Regional Council as presented, authorising the Chief Executive Officer to make any minor amendments if required before the publication of the report. 2, publish the report on Council's website within 2 weeks of adoption in accordance with Section 1824 of the Local Government Regulation 2012. And 3, write to the Minister advising of the adoption of the annual report for the 2023-24 financial year.
Seconder, Councillor Brompton. Anyone like to speak?
Thanks very much, Mayor. Thank you to Rob, Cam, Ruben, and the team behind you that have put a power of work into drafting the annual report for 23-24. Obviously, this report straddles 9 months of the previous term of council and 3 months of this new term of council. I think that is, reflected well in the report. There's a lot of information that has gone into this. There's there are some positive stories that have come out of the last 12 months as well. In particular, I encourage residents to have a look at the grants that have been supported across our community for the last 12 months. There's a significant number of those that you'll find in the annual report, and I draw your attention to those. It does highlight obviously the change in councillors that occurred at the election, and in particular highlights the reintroduction of the portfolio system into this term of council, and I think that's important to acknowledge, and it's very clearly documented and showcased in this annual report. So thank you again to the staff for your contribution. It doesn't go unnoticed, and I'm happy to have moved the resolution.
Anyone else like to speak?
Just
Councillor.
also to thank the staff, the 3 gentlemen that Councillor O'Neill mentioned, and all the staff behind it. Congratulations, well done.
Yeah.
It's good, got a mix like 2 different terms, the old and the new, so it's got the good mix, and it's got everything in there, so thanks very much.
I too would like to say thank you to the power of work, because I know it's a power of work. So thank the 3 of you and everybody that goes behind you, especially you, Ruben, for stepping up. Wouldn't have been easy, so thank you very much. Okay, let's go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
9-0. Is that all we've got?
Missing, like you can still be here.
If that's all we've got, I'll close the meeting at 12:20, and thank you all for your attendance.